Good afternoon and happy Saturday. Welcome along to Matchday Live here on Fox's Hub as Leicester face Oxford United here at King Power Stadium. I feel like it's maybe been a while since the last Saturday 3 o'clock kick-off here, but we are back and welcoming along Gerry, Taggart and Steve Howard to the studio here as we build up to kick-off. How are you both getting on?
Yeah, not too bad. Caught a little bit of the lurgy.
Yeah, that's why I'm sitting over here.
You stay as far away as possible. But there was no way I was missing the Matt Elliott derby today.
Absolutely, yeah. Are you looking forward to it as well, Steve?
Absolutely, yeah. Back to King Power, so hopefully better win and wait.
Yeah, footballing weekend for you. Game today.
Absolutely,
game
yes. I'm going to the Newcastle game tomorrow, so being invited up there, so I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, win for Leicester today, win for Newcastle tomorrow. That'll be a good weekend.
Yeah, I'll take that.
Yeah.
I'll take that.
What do we think today? Are we confident?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, a battling performance the other night against Wrexham away from home. The Saturday before, lost a game that, probably we should have had something at least to draw out of. So 2 really good performances, in my, especially the first half against Coventry. And you've got to feel confident going into this game today. I mean, if you look at Oxford's record on the road, then it isn't great. I think there's only 2 games they've won away all season in the league. And so, yeah, I think hopefully, they'll be able to get the ball down and play a little bit more today and show a little bit more, those passing phases that we've seen in recent games, again, away at Coventry. So, but yeah, they should feel confident.
I think so, They've had 2 good clean sheets, Oxford, so they've picked up a little bit. But if Leicester can get back to the first half performance against Coventry, obviously they didn't show that Tuesday night. But if they can get that back to that sort of standard of football, I think you've got to be looking at this game, especially at home. You've got to be thinking, you want to win and win well.
Yeah. Well, let's take a look at today's team news then, because we know what happened in that game against Wrexham. Both midfielders, Oliver Skipp and Jordan James, were withdrawn with injury on Tuesday. That's a big blow. We've heard from Marty Cifuentes. He says JJ out for at least a month. Oliver Skipp, we know he's missing today. Hopefully he'll be back next week. So the 2 changes are in those midfield places. There's no surprise there. Chowdhury moves from right back into central midfield today. So one of the changes is Ricardo coming in to play at right back. We think Nelson will continue at left back as he did in the week. And Louis Page starts again, his first start since that Birmingham game all the way back, September time. So good to see him back in the team. We'll talk about him in further detail in a little bit. This is the Leicester side then. It's Stolarczyk in goal, Ricardo, Okoli, Vestergaard and Nelson across the back 4. Chowdhury and Page, the midfield 2, with Fatawu, Cordova-Reid and Mavididi supporting Jordan Ayew. On the bench, it's Begovic, Daka, Samare, Marsal, Monga, both the Thomases, Luke and Silko, Olabade, Aluko, and Kevon Gray as well there. So maybe it'll be the first time we see him in a Leicester City shirt. Gerry, we'll come to you though.
Yeah.
Obviously, Chowdhury and Page, we knew that was going to happen, didn't we? We didn't know it would be those 2, but we knew it wouldn't be James and Skipp.
Yes. I mean, let's be honest, especially losing Jordan James is a massive blow. He's a highest goal scorer for us this season. He's been a revelation since coming into the side. And I would expect that Louis Page will take on that role of breaking from midfield, and Hamza will just, do the Oliver Skipp role, where he just plays a supporting role. But so for me, it's a flick of a coin on those 2, Chowdhury and Skipp. Obviously, Skipp has been given the nod in recent days, but Hamza's more than capable of coming in and doing a job. I really like the look of Louis Page. Really like the look of him. But obviously, I mean, he's got big boots to follow today, hasn't he? But his time will come. There is no doubt about that, because he does look the part.
Yeah, but we'll talk about the midfield too, and particularly Louis Page in further detail in a moment, Steve. But really, that's such a key area of the pitch, isn't it?
Absolutely.
So it is a blow.
I mean, it is a blow to lose your 2 main starters in James, who's been obviously on fire this season, scoring his goals, and with the lack of goals up front, you rely on your midfield players, and obviously he's been contributing with those goals. But Chowdhury's come in, he's more than capable playing a game like this, and to putting his stamp on it, and using his aggression to win the ball back, and like Tag says, and let Louis Page bomb on, and try and replicate some of them goals that James has been scoring.
Yeah, it is a big game. It feels like it's a massive game in terms of Leicester just needing to get 3 points today, Gerry, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, after the last 2 games, but tough games. I think Wednesday night was not a night for playing football. It really wasn't, and not a night for being at sea either.
Maybe that's why you're not feeling so well today.
Yeah, but it was what it was. It was a battling performance. And they got what they deserved out of the game, in my opinion, because of that. And obviously it came from a set piece, a free kick. But now they're back here today. The weather's a lot better. Hopefully they can get the ball down and we'll start seeing a little bit of football. Again, I always talk about, invariably when Leicester do well, it's because the wide players in particular are on form. So hopefully we'll see a little bit of wing magic today on both sides. And Bobby Reid, he's Mr. Reliable anyway, so he'll make sure he'll be in good positions to hopefully convert.
Yeah, I think as well. You're right there, Tags, going down to somewhere like Wrexham, on a Tuesday night when it was blowing a hoolie and freezing cold, and come away with something out of the game.
Yeah.
Fair enough, it was last minute, and you can pick the bones out that you want, but if you go to these places on a Tuesday night, that point could be huge. And that's a sort of mentality you've got to get in and say, we'll go to these places on a Tuesday night and we'll come away with something.
Yeah. Let's hear from the manager then. Martí Cifuentes, as ever, has been speaking to the media ahead of the game during the week. He was asked a lot about the transfers. You can see that full presser on YouTube and on Fox's Hub as well. But he was asked particularly about the central midfield injury problems and how they can work around that.
Yeah, we need always to adjust depending on the players available, on the opposition. Obviously, when we are a bit thin on the midfield, it's always a challenge. So to lose at the same time in the same game 2 important players that were playing a lot of minutes lately. But we need to adapt, and as well as any opportunity for other players that I'm sure will step in and will do a good job. So I have always full trust on the players that jump in the 11, and I'm sure it's going to be a good opportunity for them to show that they deserve those minutes.
That's a really good point, actually, from Martí, isn't it, Gerry? That he's basically saying to likes of Hamza Chowdhury and Louis Page, prove why you should be in the team every week.
Yeah, absolutely. And now they get their opportunity. And they say, how many times has Hamza come on off the bench? How many times has Louis Page come on off the bench in recent games? So there's no real, as good as the other 2 were doing, in Skip and in James, there's no real, it's not going to upset the apple cart too much for these 2 young guys. Well, I say young, Hamza's not young anymore, but Hamza and Louis Page coming in today. The balance is right. So you've got one holding, one sitting midfielder, and one midfielder who likes to get forward attack. The balance on the pitch is good because Louis Page is a left footer, Hamza's a right footer. So it gives the team a better balance, actually. Because of just for being a left-sided player, which we haven't got an abundance of, is left-footed players. So the actual balance of the team is that little bit more, is that little bit better than it would be.
Yeah. How much do you like the look of Louis Page?
I do. And for somebody like Louis Page coming into this game, yes, it's a big blow, obviously with James and Skip, but Louis Page has got to be looking at this thinking, this is my opportunity to really put my stamp on this thing and, put a performance where the manager says, we're going to start you from now on, because there's the young lads, I feel, and Tags will know this more than me, but, there's a lot of noise around the young lads, Monger and people like that, when he first came on the scene, but I'm really impressed with Louis Page.
That's him driving from deep,
yeah,
which is what we're likely to see today, getting an assist.
Yeah.
It's similar to James, driving forward and breaking lines, and creating spaces for other people, and I quite like the fact that he does that.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, look at the injection of pace to get onto that ball. It just put a bit of doubt in the defender's mind. The defender doesn't come out and engage him. He says, hold on a minute, I can't get there. And then it ends up being a goal because of that. So there's no issue with the fitness levels. He's got pace. As I say, I've already said, he gives the team balance because he's a left-footed player. Obviously, what is going against him is his inexperience of playing first-team football on a regular basis. That's the only thing that... I'm not saying it lets him down. I just said it just slightly goes against him. But
I think that's where he comes in today and thinks, well, I'm starting. There's my experience. Give the manager an opportunity to say, well, you've had a great game now. I'm going to have to start you. Force his hand, and then obviously that's where he gets his experience.
We've seen when he's been brought on, Gerry, he's just worked really hard off the ball, which is what Leicester have needed in certain games. In others, when they needed a goal here, it's a simple pass for Steffi Mavididi, but he's an integral part of what happens with this goal.
It's making the right decision at the right time, in the right moment. And that's exactly what he did. Okay, he could have drove forward into the box himself, when he received that ball. But obviously, he's seen Mavididi had a bit of time and space down the left-hand side. Makes the right decision to give it to him. You can see him now, he's just backing off, giving him a bit of support if he needs him. And yet again, it leads to a goal. So, in football, invariably, yes, you got to be able to run, you got to be able to pass. But football, for the most part, is about your decision-making. When you're on the ball, when you're not on the ball. And every time I watch this kid, his decision-making on the ball is exemplary for somebody so young. So that is a major, major plus.
Next to Hamza Chowdhury as well, we know he is an experienced player now, and they might actually suit each other really well. Hamza, particularly off the ball, his tackling, we know how combative and good he is at that. Louis Page clearly looks like he's very good with the ball.
I mean, I think it'll be, sort of an ideal partnership for him, because Louis Page can obviously sit back and say, you know what, I can drive for, because I know I've got Hamza behind us. If it does break down, he's there as like a sweeper type of thing, to sweep up anything that comes back. So I've got the license to go forward and get at people and create chances. And I think, I think it's a good game for Louis Page today. I think, with the respect to win, I think they will win and win well. And hopefully he'll shine in today. I
think also Hamza, if there was anybody in the team that will help him, it'll be Hamza. Help him when to get back into a good position, to help him out. Communicate well with him, saying, right, go. It's your time to go and get forward. So I think Hamza's the ideal partner for him today, to just help the young kid along, by talking to him and telling them what to do or where to be.
Go on.
So I think that's a great point, because I think when young lads come into the squad or come into the starting, you're obviously going to be nervous, but if you, and me and Tags and all this after we've played, if you've got an older pro screaming at you, telling you what to do, just reassuring you and just talking to you about anything, just a bit of communication, like Tag says, it calms you down and lets you think, you know what, I'm doing all right, and your confidence builds.
Yeah, final point on Louis Page and that midfield before we move on, Gerry. Do you see him more as a 10 or as an 8 where we're going to see him today?
Well, we'll have to wait and see. It's difficult, isn't it?
It's quite a small sample size, albeit, that we've seen.
Yeah, I think he can play in both positions, don't get me wrong, but he sort of reminds me in the way he plays. He's a bit more of a Jordan James type player, where he can break from midfield. He likes to break. He's got pace, he's got energy levels, and he's got this ability to just make time and space for himself by dropping his shoulder one way and going the other, and it sort of puts defenders off. So I actually think him running a goal may well be his biggest strength. I say we'll have to wait and see, but I know he can play either position.
Yeah, we'll wait and see. We certainly will do. We are a quarter of an hour now away from kickoff here at King Power Stadium. Charlie McGuinness is alongside Matt Elliott on commentary on Fox's Hub. Whether you're listening to the action or whether you're watching the action, there is plenty available for you today. Basically, anyone outside of the British Isles can watch this game. So if you are an international supporter, if you've not already got a half-season pass or your game passes for today, that's a good option for you. If you're here in the UK, then you can listen to all of the action with us. There's a chance to win a 1992 retro shirt as well. If you're a member and season ticket holder, all you need to do is become a member on the LCFC app for your chance to win a retro shirt. Just going back to Tuesday night, Gerry, obviously you were up at Wrexham. It was a battling display, wasn't it? A battling draw. Maybe not the best games of football.
No.
The weather, as you've referenced, played a huge part
Massive.
in that. Leicester scoring, and we can see a last-minute equaliser, regardless of how a game's gone. If you score in the last minute to gain a point or to gain 3 points, surely that gives you impetus going into the next game.
Yeah, absolutely. I said, I thought in the second half, Wrexham played the conditions better. So they were pressing all over the pitch. But, this here, lovely little ball, and Coley wins a header. So basically, this goal came about by two centre-halves, linking up. And I thought Coley had a really good game as well the other night. And it's really important, especially when you're an attacking team, you win that first contact.
Oh, you can see the weather there, can't you?
Yeah. And it's a tidy finish from Vestergaard. It's great first touch. And you can just see he's not even looking. He just thinks, just get a solid strike on it. And it ends up in the back of the net. So, yeah, they got what they deserved, I thought. Even though, in that second half, I thought Wrexham played the conditions better because they were pressing all over the park. So when the ball's coming up and the wind's holding it up, if you were tight, it's very, very difficult for you to get the ball down and start picking passes. So it was coming back a lot. So in that respect, you have to credit Wrexham for playing the conditions slightly better in the second half, but it didn't make any difference in the end.
Yeah. So, other than that, there were only a couple of maybe half chances, Steve, from a Leicester point of view. And in games like that, when you get a moment, they've almost got to be put away in games like that. And maybe we'll see the same today. We don't know how cagey it might be. Hopefully Leicester can make it 2 or 3.
Yeah, you'd like to think so today. But coming back to the other night, I think, all successful sides go to places like this on a Tuesday night and get a result. And it was always the successful sides I played in was, you don't get beat, so you either get a win or you draw. You don't come away with a loss, and you go to places like Wrexham on a Tuesday night when the weather was horrendous, and you get a point and you think, right, that could be huge. And then you come into today's game thinking, we've got a right chance here of, picking up 4 points in the 2 games, and you take that from the start.
Wrexham isn't an easy place to go
when
the sun's shining. Never mind pouring and wind flying all over the show. So yeah, that was a good point. Definitely a good point.
And it will then, as a result of that, I think some of the supporters maybe were frustrated that it wasn't all 3, but like you said, and everything that you said, and the weather, everything that surrounded it, it is a good point. So hopefully we'll see today the players going out galvanised and with a little bit of confidence from that, and thinking, right, we've got 2 home games here. Today against Oxford, next week against the team who've just been beaten 4-0 in Charlton. Yeah. Let's go back-to-back home wins and feel good about ourselves.
Yeah, absolutely. They're probably thinking, after the other night, well, we've got away with one there, scoring that equaliser. But I'm sure that bus didn't stay too long after the game before the players were on it and coming back, down the M6 to Leicester. And as you said, it's a totally different scenario today. Well, I'm being at home, the weather's a lot better. Good weather for, getting the ball down, which, obviously Leicester like to do. So, yeah, it's all about them. I suppose you would call it capitalising on that result the other night, even though, all right, it wasn't a footballing spectacle. But when you come away from a place like Wrexham with a hard-earned point, a very hard-earned point, then you're hoping that can galvanise. You're hoping that the likes of Mavadidi, who we just seen have that chance but didn't convert. Abdul Fattawi couldn't really get into the game the other night. You're hoping that you can see a little bit of a difference today.
There's only 5 points between Leicester and the playoffs currently, Steve, and in the Championship that is just 2 wins potentially, really, isn't it? Obviously, and I know there is a couple teams in there, but all Leicester need to do is just go on a little bit of a run.
Absolutely, because it's this league. Everybody beats everybody. You try to put a coupon on a Saturday, you got no chance. So I was just saying that to Matt downstairs actually, but You know, and you can. So if you just put a little run together, I mean, and come back to, yes, the first half performance against Coventry. You know, you think, right, okay, and you should have got something out of that game.
Yeah.
But then you go down to Wrexham, and then you shouldn't have got something out of the game, but you did get the game. So it swings and roundabouts, and then you put yourself a little run together where your confidence going into this game, like you said, Beatty, there, the next game against Charlton. You know, and you're finding yourself in a totally different place.
Back-to-back 0-0s for Oxford as well. They've changed to a back five as well today, which is different to what they've been doing recently under the new manager, Matt Bloomfield. Is that an idea, do you think, of what we might see from them today?
Well, if he's got back-to-back 0-0s, did he, in the last 2 games that he played back?
Yeah.
4s. Okay, so he's changed especially for today. It's hard to know. If it's a proper back 5, then that tells you that, you know, they're worried about the 2 wide men. But what it will do is give Bobby Reid a ton of space. Simple as that. And if he doesn't get it, then Louis Page will get it. So they can't cater for every position on the pitch at Leicester bring. But there's going to be space somewhere because you've got 3 centre halves in there who are your main defensive line, and the 2 wide players. But you know, if they're going forward, then there's a ton of space down both wings for both wide players. So I don't know.
Yeah, are you expecting Leicester to have a lot of the ball then today?
Absolutely. I mean, you know, you're taking it as a positive from a Leicester point of view, where, you know, Oxford have changed their system for this game, and yes, they're going to come here, but I'd just like to see Leicester, you know, come here and get back to winning ways at the King Power. Put your stamp on it and say, "Oh, this is our place. You kind of come here and, you know, try and." You know,
have we gone 4-5-1 or 5-4-1?
No, three at the back, 3 midfield, 2 up top.
Okay.
5-3-2.
So I think that's a total positive that they've changed their system for
for Leicester.
Yeah, because they're obviously frightened about something.
Yeah. Well, we'll find out in 7 minutes' time as we hand over to our commentary team. Charlie McGuinness is alongside Matt Elliott. You'll hear from them next, or you'll see all the pictures coming up next if you're watching with us on Fox's Hub. Here's an explainer of what is and isn't available to you and how you can get it today.
If you are watching on lcfc.com, just sit back and relax. If you are watching on social media, the live stream will finish shortly. If you want to continue enjoying our coverage, you'll need to head over to lcfc.com/Fox's Hub and purchase one of our game passes. If you are watching in a territory where the game isn't live on TV, you'll be able to watch a live video stream on Fox's Hub. Please visit lcfc.com/territories to check. If you can't find your location, live audio commentary is still available. You'll need to have an lcfc.com account before you purchase your Game Pass. If you already have one, please sign in and select your product at lcfc.com/Fox's Hub. Select the Buy button and you'll be taken to the payment page. Once you've followed the simple payment steps, press Continue at the bottom of the screen and you'll be taken to the Fox's Hub homepage. If you purchased a video pass, please select Watch Live from the Fox's Hub drop-down menu. If you purchased a Listen Live pass, please select Listen Live. If you purchased a seasonal or monthly video pass and the game is not being shown in your territory, please select Listen Live. If you are having a payment or technical issue, please email Leicester TV Support at streamamg.com. Thank you, and we hope you enjoy the match.